God's grace and His mercy and His peace are yours through faith in Jesus. Amen. Faith is a real thing, and it changes things. I say this because often in our world, faith is talked about in our culture as some blind hope, and there's no way to verify it. Now, I've said this a few times over the past few weeks, but some of the best lies of the devil are half true. Okay? There's no way to verify faith, but that does not make it unreasonable or untrue. For instance, compare it to science and evolution and the Big Bang. Okay? On the one hand, our world would have you view that science and evolution are factual, despite the fact that they cannot be proven. Okay? Let me tell you what I mean by that. So there are reasons why scientists say that the Big Bang happened, etc. And you know what those reasons are? When they developed super telescopes, they could see farther out in the universe, and they finally discovered the universe is still expanding. Well, if it's still expanding, applying logic means it must be expanding from a point, and that point must be the Big Bang, right? All that sounds good, except for one little snag in that they weren't there. And they are still actually having the same faith that everything is operating the same now as it was back then, which isn't necessarily true, as there's been many world-changing events since then. You follow? Some people have even said it takes more faith to believe in evolution than it does to believe in God. Okay? Now, the difference is, sometimes the Christian church is a little more honest and forthright about, we actually call faith faith, and it's not provable. That doesn't make it unreasonable. Science kind of generally plays the card, this is factual, and there are some facts there, but they overplay that card a little too much. Now, the reason I get into all this is if you look at the evidence for Jesus, it's actually staggering. And more than a few people have come to the Christian faith as they have looked into the evidence that Jesus was a real historical person, that he was really crucified by the Romans, and that many, many, many people saw him visibly after he rose from the dead. And what I use that to show you is that Christianity is not unreasonable at all. And so we look today at gospel hope and how that changes our priorities, God's promises and how we look at them, and our view of patience. So what is the gospel hope? It's really summed up in the last two verses of our second lesson, 13 and 14. For he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. The gospel hope is that we have been brought from death to life. We have been freed from the power of sin. We are citizens of the kingdom of heaven and have been redeemed. The gospel hope changes our outlook on everything. Have you ever found yourself looking for a simple answer to a spiritual question? You wouldn't be alone in that. In fact, I see a lot of people that do. And last week, a week ago in Bible class, we were talking about that and how so many people tend to get frustrated because they ask what should be a simple question with a simple answer, and they don't always get a simple answer. Well, okay. I used to think that all that mattered was giving the right answer. But, you know, as you get older, you realize more and more it's not always as simple as that, is it? It's not always as simple because that's taking out of the equation the person asking the question. Are they asking the question out of faith? Are they asking the question out of skepticism? Is the person asking a believer, or are they an unbeliever? What is their view of God? Is he God? Is the Bible his word? And you know, all that matters and comes into... What does it matter if I give the right answer if the person asking the question doesn't understand the answer? You follow? And that's, I don't want anyone to be frustrated, but that's sometimes why answers to seemingly simple questions aren't always so simple. To address it, you need to take the questioner in mind. What I mean by that is if someone doesn't view God as an authority, if they don't view the Bible as His Word, why would you go there in answering their question? Because they already don't believe that. You have a bigger fish to fry and probably need to start with somewhere else as opposed to the question that they are answering, or they are asking, okay? But sometimes even believers hear answers like that with a chip on their shoulder because we are products of our culture. And so many answers in the Bible we read from a 20th or 21st century lens, and it's hard. It takes humility to sit and listen to understand what God means. Mary had all kinds of reasons to be doing other things, okay? You can talk about culturally. She should have been cooking and cleaning with her sister Martha. Relationally, she should have been cooking and cleaning with her sister Martha, right? But what happened is the gospel hope had so changed her priorities that, what did happen? We know that Martha got ticked off and actually went directly to Jesus to complain to him about her sister Mary, who was sitting right there. Think about it, if that was your sister, and she was complaining to Jesus about you, and you're sitting right there. But it kind of shows you how the gospel then reframes our priorities in life, and how it did that for Mary. And it needs to change ours too. But this is sometimes, we don't always like that because that would force us to go against society at times or against family at times. Now, we don't need to go out of our way to do that, but it does kind of beg the question, which is more important? God or family? God or society? What is our priority? Okay?